the title of this talk is Don't Buy This, and Patagonia as an aspirational company, you might wonder what are we aspiring to? And I think that ultimately what we're aspiring to is to be a company 10, 15, or 20 or 50 years down the line that actually justifies its existence, that is worthy of being a company and business. Our aspiration became very early on was to help protect natural places. And this we started doing in the 80s by giving 1% of sales to the environment. But it took us much, much longer to view ourselves, to look at ourselves as environmental culprits or villains, to look at what was done in our name in the supply chain, what we had done in our name in the supply chain, and to really examine our own practices and then gradually improve them.
Early on, we learned that the points that motivated us as a company to make change aren't always the things that motivate consumers to support our choices. And one example comes from way back in the 90s with organic cotton. And as we learn more about how conventional grown cotton was done at the time, it was really disconcerting to see all the chemicals in the cotton fields. And we spent a lot of time driving around cotton fields to learn this. As we learned some of that information, that was really the compelling reason why we switched. And we wanted to tell our consumers that, look at all this stuff that's happening. We're really concerned. We want you to be concerned. And so we made posters with crop dusters and all these things. And our retail employees came back and said, you're really kind of bumming everybody out. And the focus groups were like, we're kind of happy when we're shopping. You got your dog and a latte, and now we're looking at crop dusters. And so we learned that we had to meet them where they were ready to be met in the environment they were. So we had to match and sort of balance the crop dusting photos with a farmer that was growing organic cotton and tell his positive stories and why he made the switch, his personal reasons for getting the chemicals off of his land. And so it was really a lesson in balancing that information, that it's not always the motivating factor that resonates.
One of the things that happens with messaging is that the message gets across. Once you have a success doing something, it actually creates internal pressure to do something more. People start expecting you to become a leader, and you start to feel conscious of that you want to meet people's expectations and not let them down, and also not let down the obligation you feel as a business person to reduce the harm you do.
What is the performance requirement of a product in the scheme of its durability over a lifetime, and the performance and environmental ramifications of some of the chemicals that are needed to do that? So in our case, it's around durable water repellent finishes, which is what you apply to the outside so you stay dry in a rainstorm. And so then you look at the impacts of everything else in that jacket, from the drilling and refining of oil all the way up to consumer care. And that's a really hard balance. Do you then reinvest all these new resources because of this one chemical, or do you put a process in place in your supply chain to responsibly handle that chemical and look to see where might you be contributing to the bigger environmental impact? So those are some of the very real tensions that we deal with on a daily basis. And partly what we use to determine some of that is our mission statement, which the middle statement is cause no unnecessary harm.
With communication and transparency, there are often happy unintended consequences. Our production people, who had been kind of nervous when we were putting up the factories on the website and talking about what we liked and didn't like about what they were responsible for, that they started to come to us because they found the Footprint Chronicles a tool for working with the suppliers to improve practices. So what we had started out intended to do was rather limited, and the benefits were extensive and kind of across from customer to supplier to employee, the benefits and to the general public, because we got a lot of attention.